What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mr. Craven. So, I'm just doing the event farms this week. Been kind of busy. Um, but it was interesting because Toxic Shadow realized he's blocked after I said it, and he shared the video, and I
It's
replied
spring,
to it,
time for all green
and I
things
was
to
like,
spread their
"Listen,
leaves and
if
grow.
you
I
can't
will tap
accept
directly
what
into the
I've
green.
said."
The force
And
that
you
joins
keep
all
replying with
plant
dumbass
life,
shit,
and
of
then
course
that
I'm going
goodness
to
will
block
spread
you.
across the
There's
planet.
no two ways around
Honey.
it. I do not tolerate trolling at all. Zero. If you're trying to rebuttal me and you can prove what I'm saying is a false narrative or a false accusation, then I can accept it because everybody can be wrong. But when it comes to MMOs, I'm pretty, diligent about the numbers and how numbers work in MMOs. That's why I was an alpha tester for companies. I used to test for multiple gaming companies because I was just very, much into the mechanics of what the developers were trying to implement in every game. And also, I used to be a raider. So in other games, I used to raid games. I also was a PvPer in multiple games, and that was my shtick, right? I even own my own IP because I was going to develop a game at one time, create my own company. So the thing about it is this: if I'm showing you how these mechanics apply and how they're mathematically related, especially when you're having diminishing marginal returns, and every percentage based math has that. That's why it's called the law of diminishing marginal returns. Then, and you either have two choices. You can either accept what I'm showing you because I am showing you, or you can still be trolling because you can't accept it. And if you choose to troll, after that, well, you're just going to get a perma block. It's just that simple. The content creators in this game are trash. They're fucking trash. 100%. Skilled, yes. Some truths. For example, the debate with Constantine. Constantine does provide that might buff. He does. The problem with that, though, is Constantine doesn't push out a lot of damage. So when you're against a player who's using a single target ally and they're still using those buffs, other players' buffs, you're at a disadvantage now because they have a ally that's going to deal more damage. Everything else can be the same. Your CR, your loot, all of it. It can all be exactly the same, but if it is, and a player has a high ally that's going to deal more damage, they're going to prevail. That's just math. That's common. That should be common sense, and it's not. So it's like if you can't even come to that determination, if you can't even accept that, then honestly, there is no room for discussion. There is zero room for discussion at that point. And I've been saying multiple times, I didn't want to come back as a content creator in any game, let alone DC. DC is nothing in comparison. It was funny because Dark Horse was a WoW player, and I said, they posted, he's like, it looked like easy mode on. I'm like, well, dude, it is easy mode in comparison that, easy mode. This game is easy mode. If you played any other MMO and you've had to rate, and here to find out, he played WoW. He was a horde. I was too. I was a druid in the Burning Crusades. Before that, I was Alliance warrior, um, and I PvP'd and raided. I was a GM. I was a Grand Marshal. So, and I do not PvP in this game. This game's PvP sucks ass. I have the feats, but after my feats and after, I've spent X amount of time hoping the PvP would get good, I come to the realization it never will. They weren't dedicating enough time into the PvP. development. So I hung it up. I just said, it's not competitive enough, or even they've got shield stacking problems tremendously, and I would rather chew on nails than PvP in this game. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. And but this was always my down game, because I would get tired of the toxicity in other games, and I just, would literally come to this game because I love the combat system. So I always enjoyed it tremendously. I really did enjoy the PvP system, and I was like, man, I love this PvP system. It's dope. Or not the PvP, the PvE mechanics. Sorry, I don't like the PvP in this game. But yeah, the combat mechanics are dope. Now, I also, when I became a content creator, I was a content creator for Elder Scrolls Online. Not that I wanted to do that either. I was kind of persuaded to do it because I was doing things like the meta players were like literally preaching against, and I was also a PvPer in ESO. And a lot of content creators hated me, but content creators like Soulman and stuff, and other ones, always came to my channel for the math. So, I have a good reputation. I earned it. I earned what I did. And like I said, I definitely did not want to do it here. But after, I let the art swappers be stupid. I was just like, they're fucking dumb. They're goddamn stupid. These guys are dipshits. And because when they were swapping, they didn't realize what the fuck they were doing. Oh, look at me. I can't see what the fuck's going on, but I'm swapping left and right, and I'm losing DPS in the process. I was like, oh, yeah. So, no, I honestly couldn't take the meta serious even back then. And most games, it's hard for me. Because even when I played, like, when people talk about parsing and stuff, WoW had a parser I was used to, Rift. I used to also raid in Rift and PvP in Rift. PvP in Rift was comparable to World of Warcraft. The raiding system was a little bit less time in Rift, so I really enjoyed Rift. Unfortunately, Rift had its problems. It was superior graphic wise compared to WoW, but it had real problems, and then the company went bankrupt, and then another company acquired it, and that's MMO history. But yeah, so I even played Vanguard, I played EverQuest, I played UO, I played games that you've never even heard of. I used to be a City of Heroes player. So, and that game really needed some end game. Everything was so monotonous. But, it was fun. And so, yeah, there was multiple games I've played throughout my career. I was also an alpha tester for Magic the Gathering Online. So, good times. Good times, good times. But, yep. Definitely, I've seen my fair share of a lot of different things in the gaming world. But this game, I just never thought. I've done a couple videos for this game, but I just never really wanted to cover anything. I did reviews and stuff, and I would do a couple of videos once in a blue moon for the game, but I just never, I just thought it was too easy. I was just like, how long does it take to raid in this game? Less than an hour. It was difficult. When it became easier, now they can do raids in like 12 minutes, even faster. So it was like, what's the point? Even when they fuck up, what's the point? Even if they're challenged, what's the point? But I literally couldn't take it because it became so toxic. And I was like, why are you guys so toxic? Why? You're playing one of the easiest MMOs ever, 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 ever. It's fun. This game is not difficult. So I don't understand. I really don't. but definitely when you're always going to be met with resistance when you prove something wrong, right? Because people don't want to accept that. Now, personally, I think being wrong is a great thing. Why? You get a chance to learn. But like when people are talking about, oh my god, Omega, and when I was looking at Omega and I was doing the number comparison, I was like, it's okay, it's okay. It's not without its own problems, for sure. So I was like, it's just not my shtick. I would rather stick with Solar Amplifier, um, because of the proc problem. Even when they added ambush, because they had to justify, because people were starting to realize they were losing DPS, and it was like, well, yeah, you kind of are, because everything else is just dealing too much damage too fast. So why would you continue to run an artifact that's slowing DPS down? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Zero. And now you still have people trying to hold on. And like I said, I'm not saying Omega is bad. I'm just saying, it's not without its, flaws. Now, to optimize in this game, you actually don't want to use any procs. Believe it or not, it's based on stats. So if you're using procs, you're actually slowing DPS down, because those are, spots that you could be magnifying your DPS, your stats, and a lot of people didn't even realize that, because and that's the whole idea behind Constantine, right? To go ahead and drop it for a stat boost. The problem, like I said, though, if another player who is not running Constantine still utilizes those circles, they're getting the same buff that you are, except their ally does more damage than Constantine. You can't change that. That's the point. So they're going to deal more damage than you based on the ally activation. Okay? So if you can't accept that, that's your problem. It doesn't change the truth. Doesn't change it. How can you argue it if you can't even, if you're not happy with those results and you do have a problem, that's on you. You know, don't hate the player, hate the game. That's the truth. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm just a messenger, y'all. I just got tired of stupidity. I'm German too, so I'm just going to tell you how it is. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't give two shits. We have, just rip the band aid off as our mentality. Tough love is real love. If I didn't care, I wouldn't just be saying anything at all. For the longest time, I didn't. But because I cared a little bit, I guess, I just decided to try to teach people the hard way. Like, you're being fucking dumb. You realize that, right? You're toxic. It's unnecessary. You're stupid because you're following the crowd. Instead of being your own advocator and trying to figure out what is going on mechanically in the game, you opted not to. Like Zazo. Zazo was like, "Oh, trolls have more health than a tank. Same amount. No, they have the same amount of health as a tank." I'm like, "You're fucking high." You know, the heart of ISIS makes that impossible. Like, dude, that's you're high, dude. Because tanks share a buff, but they also get an additional health buff on their own. So that's impossible. It's literally impossible. And then when you compound it, the tanks are going to, you know, almost triple, almost, not quite, almost triple the health amount as a troll. Like, dude, you're on drugs. You can't count. You're challenged. Sorry. Sorry. So, and you guys are going to hate me because I'm telling you the truth. Well, I don't give a fuck. I never cared because when I was a raider, I was a top tier raider. Now, when I was doing ESL, I was doing my own thing, so a lot of people just hated me. Nightblades can't heal, and I was streaming it. DKs can't heal, I was streaming it. Sorks can't tank, I was streaming it. You know? So, yeah. And then Stam Warden healers, and then eventually the meta caved in to what I was saying. They had no choice, eventually. And I was vindicated over and over and over again. So I don't know what to tell you. I didn't want to do this, but I had to because you all were stupid. And that's what happens when you listen to one people. I used to tell my viewers all the time, do not believe me. I'll show you something. But you should be adamant about doing something for yourself. And if I show you something, where the numbers come from, how they're derived, you should be the person to, set your own challenges based on observation. Question it, test it. You might come to the same conclusion. You might find something different. I'm not debating that. And I'll give you the chance to always rebuttal. But when you cannot accept the findings to be factual, you're going to get blocked. After 100 points allocated in your SP, you're not going to gain any more percentage. It's just base values. Increases points into your base value. Now, compounding, that can help, but in comparison to compounding interest, it's insignificant because you're getting other percentages from other things like your artifacts and your allies. So you're better off allocating those points into other pools to maximize other contributing effects. And I know something that I'm not sharing with the community, because why should I? You have done nothing but troll me and met me with resistance because you couldn't accept the truth. And I am not as forthcoming as possible, as much as I could be, because of your ignorance. Oh well. Don't know what to tell y'all. But yeah, come here and troll. You just get blocked. Because like I said, I don't care about views. I really don't. I've accumulated over 1 million views. Toxic was like, well, congratulations, and you should be humble. Like, dude, kiss my fucking ass. I earned every fucking view. I went through the gauntlet. I wasn't pandering to the populace. I was given the cold, hard truth, and I earned those views. So you tell me to be humble, I can tell you to kiss my ass. I was always met with resistance. This game's no different. Why? Because you're sheep. You will always follow some ignorant person over the cliff. Truth hurts. Have a nice day.